In the opening scene of Spy X Family Episode 1, we witness the murder of a diplomat through a staged car accident which was intended to provoke a war between Westalis and Ostania. This event catches the attention of the Westalian Intelligence Agency, or known as WISE. The WISE's mission is to prevent a war between these two countries. Westalis and Ostania actually a reference to Germany, with Westalis representing West Germany and Ostania representing East Germany. The two countries were in a Cold War between 1945 and 1990, which explains why the setting of Spy X Family is quite dated. Even though cars were present, digital cameras were not yet available, and Loid recovered the evidence of a minister's being bald in a form of a camera negative and printed pictures. Furthermore, the diplomat in the opening scene was riding on a 1959 Soviet GAZ-13, also known as GAZ Chaika. Based on this information, we can infer that the setting of Spy X Family takes place in 1960s Germany. Further evidence of the German setting is shown through a newspaper headline referencing the Cold War and a train station named Berlin, an obvious reference to Berlin, the capital of Germany. In Y's meeting room, we can see a world map with Westalis and Ostania bordering each other, which is identical to the real-world geography of West Germany and East Germany during the Cold War era. Ostania's name also originates from the word Ost in German, meaning east. The WISE mentioned that in order to find out Ostania's intentions, they would need to send the best spy they had, which is Twilight, which we know as Loid Forger. The code name Twilight has a Japanese translation as Tasogare, which is actually a pun in Japanese from Tasokare, which mean, who is that? That was the reason. Twilight is a spy known as the Man of Many Faces. Don't worry, in case you think the Loid we saw the whole time is fake, there is a flashback of his childhood past in episode 1, and the Loid we have seen is the actual Loid. However, we still do not know his real name. When Loid deceived the hired spy to recover the photos, it might raise the question of why he did not have any backup data. One possible reason could be the cost, as the price of camera negatives in 2023 is around $10 and would have likely been even higher in the past. The cost of printing photos may have been quite expensive as well. Another possible explanation is that the hired spy may have been prohibited from having any backup data, or perhaps they simply chose not to get involved any further. After recovering the photos of the bald minister, Loid is shown having dinner with a girl who is not a random person, but rather Edgar's daughter, who was previously deceived by Loid. During the dinner, Karen mentions that her father is upset because his data was stolen, referring to the earlier incident. In the end of episode 1, Loid threatens Edgar and reveals that he knows every personal details about Karen, such as her height, weight, shoe size, favorite foods, and even the number of moles on her body. This raises questions about the nature of Karen and Loid's relationship and whether Loid is still a virgin. Later, Loid breaks up with her, which is not due to her lack of intellect, but because his mission is already concluded. Loid's next mission is the main plot of Spy X Family story, which is the Operation Strix. As a matter of fact, the scientific name for wood owls is Strix, which is also a Latin translation. It is noteworthy that the main purpose of the operation, Donovan Desmond, has the same huge sunken eyes as an owl which can be seen from the newspaper. Beside him, we can also know the name of the minister, which was Anakin Haywood. The way Loid received this mission was from a bearded man who exchanged a newspaper with him. After giving it, the man said meow, which Loid later interpreted as Cipher C, referring to cat. In later episodes, the cashier also imitates a frog's voice as Ribbit, which Loid confused whether it actually refers to Cipher T from Toad or Cipher F from Frog. The funny thing about this is Anya also confused on why the cashier speech ended with the frog voice. Although Anya can read people's minds, she does not know the reason behind the speech either. This might hint that the cashier also does not know what he is doing. Did you notice that the WISE logo is visible when they were discussing in their room, and the same logo can be seen on Loid's pin? This indicates that Loid has been declaring himself as a spy all the time, even while he was disguising as Edgar. If we see the other spies, they are not wearing the pin. Seeing this behavior, wouldn't it be easier to know which one is Twilight? What do you think is the reasoning behind his action to wear a pin? When Anya was kidnapped, Loid had Guyen, who was one of Edgar's subordinates, wear his clothes while he disguised himself as Guyen. we can see that Guyen was also wearing Loid's pins. However, after defeating Edgar and his subordinates, Loid did not retrieve his clothes. This raises the question of whether Loid's pin was revealed to the public. Additionally, considering how Loid had the pin again later, it makes us wonder of how many pins he has. It is possible that Loid only retrieved his pins and not his clothes. Furthermore, since the enemies did not realize that Loid was actually Guyen even after he spoke, it appears that Loid was able to mimic Guyen's voice as well. In the end, Loid did not end Guyen's life even though he had seen Loid's real appearance. It is also weird how Loid came back after ripping his Guyen mask, increasing the chance of his real appearance got leaked. Speaking of Anya, we saw her for the first time when Loid was visiting an orphanage to adopt a child for Operation Strix. She was seen holding a Chimera Doll, which refers to a fire-breathing female monster in Greek mythology with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. This raises the question of whether this is a reference to the famous laboratory scene in Full Metal Alchemist, where Nina and the dog are fused together by her father. The Chimera actually has the power to teleport. This can be seen when Anya just got adopted. Anya was not holding the doll and the doll suddenly appeared beside the TV, even replacing the existing vase. It was later revealed that Anya has a telepathic superpower, which was explained as the ability to read people's minds. In the crossword puzzle scene, Anya demonstrated this ability by reading Loid's mind and answering all of the clues, including the difficult symplectomorphism, which she was able to write down. Seeing this event, we can't help but to think about how Anya's telepathy actually works. Does her ability mean she can hear people's thoughts, or does reading people's minds refer to the transformation of the target's thoughts into text that Anya can read? Since it should be the first case, does this mean that Anya is actually a genius since she knew how to spell symplectomorphism? Anya's ability was unintentionally created by a group of scientists. She later ran away and tried to find someone who would take care of her. According to Frankie's sources of information, she had been to 2 other orphanages and she was returned to the orphanage 4 times. She was given 4 different names: Anya Williams, Anya Levsky, Anya Roche, and the last one, Anya Klein, which was only mentioned in the anime. When Frankie jokes about how Anya is similar to Loid regarding their frequent name changes, Loid gives him a cold look but does not say anything, possibly trying to warn Frankie not to leak his identity. Anya was referred to as Test Subject 007. Her former codename is a reference to the fictional character James Bond and his code number 007. And if you notice, the Forger family's new dog, Bond, was a Test Subject 008, and it can be seen that the scientist who did horrible things to them and giving them the superpowers are the same person. Anya's character design was also inspired by the author's previous manga called Rengoku no Ash. Anya wears 2 black hair ornaments and black clothes similar to Ash, but in Ash's case, it was a witch hat. Since Anya is still a kid, she is shorter compared to Ash, who looks like a teenager. However, even when both of them has special powers, their hair ornaments are nothing but accessories. Before Loid went to meet Frankie, he locked his room to avoid Anya getting in and messed with his spy tools. He locked his room with code 6110, which can be pronounced as Loid in Japanese, if separated to 6 as Roku, 1 as Ichi, and 10 as Do. And he also barricaded their room. When Loid returns home, Loid immediately notices something is amiss, and it is not clear why in the anime. In the manga, it's because the barricade he set up had moved from its original position, which is how he knew that someone other than Anya had been in his room. Lastly, on the ending scene, we can see that Loid's energy left his body the moment Anya passed the entrance test, and soon after, we saw him laying on the couch. Since at that moment, Loid was not able to move, did Anya actually drag him back home? That concludes about the details you might have missed from Spy X Family. If you found it enjoyable, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. See you in the next episode.